Good morning, everyone. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining us for today's briefing on the upcoming Roadworks in Swords. My name's David Brannigan, Communications and Engagement Manager with Fingal Chamber, and I'll be guiding you through the session this morning. Before we begin, just a few quick housekeeping points. This session is being recorded and will be shared afterwards, along with the presentation slides with all registered attendees. So you'll be able to revisit anything covered or share that with colleagues. All participants are on mute to ensure we have clear audio throughout the session. If you do run into any technical issues, please use the chat function in your Zoom toolbar or email events@fingalchamber.ie and a member of our team will do their best to assist. We'll take questions at the end of the session. When we move to Q&A, simply use the Zoom raise your hand function and we'll invite you to unmute yourself. And ask your question directly. We'll aim to finish by 10 a.m., so please do stay with us for the full session, particularly the Q&A, which is often the most useful discussion happens. That's everything from me. I'd now hand over to Anthony Cooney, Chief Executive of Fingal Chamber, to begin the session.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Anthony Cooney, and I'm delighted to welcome Matthew McAleese, the Director of Infrastructure and Transport at Fingal County Council, and Lally, who's the Senior Engineer for the Department of Infrastructure and Transport. And they'll be briefing us today on projects that are relative to swords over the next number of years. And certainly that some of them, you can see them coming out of the ground as we speak. And there are others that have been planned and are about to commence. This is part of a series of briefings by the Chamber to keep the business community involved and informed all the way through. And I'd like to thank both Matthew and Linda for the cooperation in this regard. So I'll hand over to you both now.
Thanks, Anthony. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I know how busy everyone is. So look, we don't want to take up a lot of your time. Just to say, we met with the Chamber on the 15th of December, and we provided a high-level presentation on those projects that Anthony referenced in the Carnegie Library. And at that presentation, we gave a commitment that we would come back to the Chamber when we had appointed a contractor, and we had a fixed date for the commencement of the works, and we had a little bit more detail in terms of our communication strategy moving forward. Just on that, the main project that we'll be discussing this morning is the R132. It's of significant scale. It will have an impact on swords. It will result in disruption, congestion, and some delays. But myself, Linda, and the team have been working for the past 12 months to try and mitigate as best we can that impact. And we'll talk about that this morning in terms of what that looks like. But key to this project is good communication and keeping the business community and the wider public informed of the progress. And what we hope to do is provide the business community with updates through the Chamber and an opportunity then to engage with us if there's any significant issues that arrive over the next 25 months. So look, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Linda Lally. She's the Senior Engineer, Fingal County Council, and one of the project leads to take us through the presentation. And then at the end, we're very happy to take any questions, answer them today if we can. And if there's any questions that we can't, we're happy to take them away and come back to you as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Matthew, and good morning, everybody. And just to say thanks very much for giving us the opportunity this morning to present to you and give you an update of, I suppose, where everything's at in terms of projects that are coming to Swords. So I'm just going to share the screen here. And is that coming up?
Not just yet. That's on the way.
You can see it there now, can you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thanks very much. So, Swords is going places. It's our tagline, and I suppose Swords is earmarked for significant level of growth because the major strategic transport initiatives that are coming along, such as Metro and Bus Connects, are going to support that growth. And Council, I suppose, are bringing forward a number of projects that align with those, but also for Swords itself, that we can facilitate and support sustainable growth of Swords. So, the agenda. So I'm just going to give you an overview of the upcoming projects for 2026. Talk about how we're trying to minimise disruption. One of the projects is the Swords Cultural Quarter and the public groundworks there on North Street. The R132 connectivity project, as Matthew mentioned there. Our active travel colleagues undertaking the project down Seatown Road, doing a lot around communications. Want to bring you up to date on that a little bit, and community collaboration. So, upcoming Swords projects 2026. I have here a map, and on the map, sort of trying to indicate everything that's happening or going to happen. And I'll just talk you through that for a minute or two. So, the R132 itself, you can see it coloured here, and those colours represent four phases of the R132, running from north to south. And the purple phase below represents the Bus Connect scheme to be undertaken by the NTA, which is outside the R132 project. The dashed line running along the east side of the R132 is Metro. We have then the green line on Seatown Road, which is the active travel scheme. And then in the very centre of Swords there at the castle, that blue hatched area represents Culture House and the public groundworks that are to be undertaken shortly. So the green dotted lines are indicating pedestrian links and improved pedestrian links that will be provided under various different projects in Swords going forward. So as the presentation goes on, I'll talk a little bit more detail with the various different projects. So out of this work arose out of the Sustainable Swords strategy, and there was particular themes that were looked at under this strategy. And I suppose protecting and promoting our heritage was a key theme for us, and improving access, permeability and connectivity, particularly in east-west across Swords. You have a lot of the residential areas to the west of Swords, and along the east, the more, I suppose, enterprise or industrial areas. And of course, you have Metro coming along the east side of the R132. So the Culture House, the Swords Cultural Quarter public realm, Seatown Road active travel, and the R132 connectivity project all fall within those themes. So our key objectives is to minimise disruption and maintain access. It's really important to keep Swords open for business and to maintain journeys throughout the works. I suppose we don't want anybody coming on Swords and not realising these works are actually underway. So it's key for us that we're providing early notice of any traffic management changes, and to work proactively with the community so people are fully informed with the correct information. One of the pilot schemes that's coming out of this is to establish a community forum where we can communicate directly with key members within the community, again ensuring that the right information is getting out there and sort of trying to prevent disinformation as such. So I suppose out of recent happenings in Swords, particularly around traffic management, there's now a bi-weekly coordination meeting with all departments or relevant departments within Swords, where we can coordinate all works that are being undertaken in and around Swords. We commit to give advance notice of any rerouting and diversion plans to the works, and we are phasing the works to keep Swords moving as such, rather than, for example, allowing contractor full access to 3 junctions on the R132 at the same time. We commit to work proactively with the community so people know what's happening and when, and we'll also provide regular community updates through the community forum, social media and leaflet drops. So the Swords Cultural Quarter, it's in the heart of the town. Will be an exemplar public realm space when complete. It's a key project in the delivery of the Sustainable Swords vision, and it's really to engage citizens and attract visitors, promote enterprise. it's intended as a new cultural destination, providing a setting for the cultural, civic, and heritage amenities. And I think it's 2028 possibly is the year of the Normans, and we have a Norman castle in the middle of Swords. So we're looking to take full advantage of that and promote Swords as a destination. So the public realm includes the public spaces around North Street. So on the map there on the right, you might be able to make out the red line boundary of the scheme. So it commences just north of the park there on North Street, runs south all the way to the top of Main Street and runs eastwards along Seatown Road. So Seatown Road, as you're aware, is currently closed to facilitate the construction of Culture House and the apartments across Seatown Road from it. So I suppose the tender process is almost complete for the public realm works itself, and it's envisaged that they'll start on North Street in April of this year. So in terms of how all of these projects would be undertaken and undertaken in such a way so as to minimise as much as possible the disruption on Swords, I suppose several different scenarios were looked at as how works could be done on North Street, whilst minimising the impact to North Street itself, but also the wider Swords area, while the R132 works are also underway. So I suppose through analysis, the best method going forward to minimise that disruption was to facilitate a full lane closure on North Street so that southbound traffic would be limited to local access only. So that dashed dotted line on the map there indicates southbound access into North Street, whilst northbound access along North Street will be fully maintained for the duration of the works. So the heavy green lines there are indicating the diversion routes for anybody who wants to travel south through Swords. The two red bus stops there would temporarily be removed southbound, and the green bus stop up in the top left there, or the top of the picture, would be the new temporary bus stop. And we've liaised with various different, Dublin Bus actually around this. The R132 connectivity project, we've recently completed the tender process and we've appointed the contractor. We had our first contract meeting there yesterday, and works will start over the Easter holidays. And I suppose over the Easter holidays, there will be a site compound constructed and put in place there in Balheary Park, just north of the skate park. So the works will start on the Lisson Hall Junction and move south over a period of approximately 2 years, each phase taking approximately about 6 months. So this image on the right is sort of to give you an indication of how the works might be undertaken. And the majority of the works are off the carriageway as such. So it's predominantly the three junctions running Lisson Hall, Seatown and Malahide. And in between the junction, works are in the hard shoulder as such. So in terms of traffic management, 2-lane traffic will be maintained in both directions during peak hours on the R132. You can see there from 6:30 to 10 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon at 7:30. The speed limit will be reduced. It's currently 80 kilometres an hour, but it will be reduced to 50 kilometres. And that will be maintained as well after the works. I suppose we're trying to create more of an urban street on the R132 as opposed to a distributor road, which it is now with, really no permeability for pedestrians or cyclists crossing the R132. So journeys will continue as normal along the R132, and so we're heading into the first phase, and we will come back and talk to you as the subsequent phases are about to start on site. So the main works contractor is procured. We have a contract signing event tomorrow morning, the 20th of March, and then the sod touring event is on the 27th of March. So there'll be a strong representation at that sod turning event, not just from the council, but also from the National Transport Authority, who are funding the project, and also from TII, who are managing the metro project. I suppose it's worth pointing out that some of the conditions on metro looked for the R132, or one particular condition looked for the R132 project to be done before the metro enabling works could come in and remove the pedestrian crossings across the R132. And I suppose we're keen to get that permeability in across the R132 before metro works start. And also with signalised controlled junctions, which will be provided as part of the project, the council will have better control and be able to manage traffic better on the R132. So estimated substantial completion is Q2 2022, and again 25 months construction period. And if we can accelerate that, we will, but only if it's not going to impact traffic management in and around the project. So this is what Estuary Junction will look like when the work is complete. You can see there improved connectivity, permeability across the junction for all of our vulnerable road users, and also improved bus lanes for bus traffic as well. Seatown Road Active Travel Scheme is currently on site, and that's working east to west. Again, I suppose all of these projects we would have coordinated with each other to try and minimise traffic as much as possible. So it's estimated 12 months to complete and has limited traffic restrictions. Ongoing communication. So again, Fingal Chambers meeting this morning, contract signing tomorrow morning, which will be sort of, in terms of communications, more of a local event, and sod turning on next week, a much wider event. Last Friday, there was a walkabout there on North Street, and leaflets, I'm not sure if they've landed yet, but they have been procured, and I think if they've not landed yet, they're on post. There'll be social media awareness. We have a video around the wayfinding to go up, and also we're hoping to host a couple of pop-ups where people can drop in and talk to us and ask questions around what's happening. So we're looking at posters for North Street and around the R132, and then the Sustainable Swords Community Forum. I think the first meeting might be next week. We have engaged with ambulance services, fire brigade, and bus operators, and we will continue to do that as the project progresses. So this map on the right there is just giving you an indication of the scope of the leaflet drop. We're trying to capture as many people as possible to make them fully aware that these works are starting. I think it's circa 40,000, maybe 43,000 leaflets that have been printed and gone in the post. So this is the leaflet itself. Gives an indication of the works, when they're to start, and also there's a QR code there that people can scan, and when they scan that code, it'll be brought to links to the various different projects where they can contact directly the project teams, whether it be the Active Travel project, the R132, or North Street. So community collaboration. Again, the Sustainable Swords Community Forum is something we're looking forward to engaging on, and we've looked for 10 to 12 representatives, I suppose, across the community, trying to capture as many of the community groups as we can. I believe the first meeting is next week, maybe Thursday evening, and in that forum we'll bring the latest updates to community members so they can disseminate that information further. And it is a pilot scheme, and hopefully it'll be successful, and it's something that we'd then like to continue into the future. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Linda. It's great to have gotten a comprehensive presentation. As mentioned to everyone at the top of the call, we'll be able to share that presentation with you, as well as a recording of this webinar for anyone who would like to watch it back or share with colleagues and go through it in a bit more detail. Now is the opportunity for anyone who's joined us to actually ask a question. If you would like, you can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself and ask a question directly to Matthew and Linda from Fingal County Council in relation to the project.
If you could stop sharing for me, I can't seem to
No problem. I'll
put it
do
off the
this.
screen. Thanks.
So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to write in the chat or react. You can use the reaction button to raise your hand and ask a question.
Hi Linda, it's now Lachlan here from Fingallion's GA Club. Just wondering the impact of the works on Balheary that will have on our members and other clubs who are playing matches in Balheary. How has that been assessed?
Well, works won't impact on Balheary Park, Niall. I suppose the only piece really is that compound just north of the skateboard, but I suppose that will be fenced off and safety there will be key. We'll be looking at the footpath in that particular area and maybe looking to divert that. But that's the only impact the works will have on the park itself, Niall.
Yeah, you mentioned there though that the works will be primarily on the side of the dual carriageway.
They will, yeah.
Where people park at the moment. On a Saturday, Sunday morning, afternoons, we could have 50, 60 people, kids there at any one time in cars looking to park. So where are they expected to park with that?
Well, I suppose when the contractor begins work there, Niall, that parking will no longer be available when he starts that particular element of the works. Now,
yeah.
I will come back to you with the details on that. The works will primarily start on the centre of the roundabout. There's a deep fell sewer to be constructed there. So I can come back to you on the dates of that, Niall, but in terms of the hard shoulder there north of Listen Hall roundabout, it won't be available for parking.
Yeah, so I suppose we just need to understand then what the options are for both our members and other clubs that are coming to play matches in that area will be, because we won't have parking in Fingallions for them to cross over the road, especially Saturday morning. We have 200 plus kids at a nursery on Saturday morning. We can't throw another 50, 100 cars on top of that.
Okay, now I think that's something we can take away and possibly discuss with you again.
Yeah, no problem. We're available anytime to discuss.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
We have a question in the chat there. Who is the main contractor for the project? I take it that's the R132 project.
It's Murphy's.
Okay. And their contact details will be shared with people in advance. And
they will.
Yeah.
They have their own liaison officer, and we can share those details with you. Yeah.
Great. Could I ask then, the public realms works is due to commence in April, so the next few weeks. What's the timeline on completion for that project?
It's estimated 12 months, but I know at the moment, I don't have the exact details on that, but the discussions are going on around the construction methodology. And I suppose we had thought originally that it would be, that lane would be closed for the full 12 months, but I was actually looking more positive than that. I don't think it's going to be closed for that long. But again, when that's ironed out, which should be in the next couple of weeks, we could come back to you with an update on that.
Great. And then another kind of minor detail I noticed in the presentation was it mentioned that during rush hours there would aim to be 2 lanes open, but at times it may only be 1 lane either side would be open. Is it possible to do a go-between whereby perhaps 3 lanes would be open, 2 on the side heading in towards the city in the morning rush hour, and 2 coming out from the city perhaps in the evening rush hour, so that I understand construction sites need to hold space for all the works that go on, but perhaps that might be able to be managed to alleviate, I suppose, rush hour traffic, whether it's whichever direction that's heading from morning to evening, and how that might change.
I suppose that it's something that would be difficult to put in place there, because the majority of the works are really at the junctions as such. In between the junctions, the works are on the hard shoulder itself, and then you have the large brass verge in between that we're really not impinging on as part of these works. So we think maintaining 2 lanes of traffic and lowering that speed is not going to have a big impact in terms of traffic flows. But I just want to point out that very much aware that traffic on the R132 can be variable and can be impacted by factors outside of Swords, for example, the M1 or the M50. So I suppose the contractor, and this is something that we've discussed with them, that they will have to be very flexible in their traffic management approach to deal with any issues that may arise. Or, for example, if there was an accident on the R132, that they can get people off the carriageway and deal with that as quick as possible, so as to minimise impact. But we do think that 2-way traffic during peak hours and down to 1 lane in between peak is the best option in terms of minimising that impact and how people move around Swords.
Another question's come in there. Will there be changes in access to the M1 north and southbound?
No, our project doesn't go that far, so no.
Okay.
Only that we'd be very aware of tailbacks onto the M1. That's something that we'll be watching closely.
Great. If anyone
David,
else...
I've got a quick question there. Linda, Matthew, thanks for that. Jim Wiley here, President of Fingal Chamber. You just mentioned something there, Linda, about in the unfortunate event of there being an accident. And as we've often seen, if there's an accident on the M1, as there was one recently, and the junctions get closed, junction 4, junction 5, and invariably the traffic then starts coming through. So has it been built in? Do the contractors have a contingency plan there that if that happens, and say it's at a time when there's only 1 lane open, is there going to be contingency plans in place because that would just cause complete gridlock through the whole of Swords? So is there anything in place, do you know?
That's something we would have raised in our discussions on our first contract meeting yesterday, Jim. And I suppose in the contracts documents as well, we looked for them to have a flexible approach towards the traffic management and to be able to move quickly in the event of something like that happening, because I think we've all experienced that recently in terms of like that, issues arising on the M1 or M50 and people using the R132 to divert. So it's
Thanks, Linda.
Morning. This is Anthony Boland from SK Biotech. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question then, just a two-pronged question? So our business requires a huge amount of articulated trucks that come in from that roundabout onto Watery Lane. Will there be any impact on them?
No, there shouldn't be, Anthony.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
The second part is...
Yeah, I'll just actually, it's worth talking about that a little bit. So the way the works are to, I suppose the methodology is, because there's so much space there around these roundabouts, and I know you're all very aware of that, the signalised junctions are much smaller. So the plan is that works will all take place off the carriageway, within the roundabouts, within the hard shoulders, and there'll be a switch over. The roundabout will be maintained fully through the works until such time as everything's in place to switch over. And we think that switch over as well is going to have minimal impact. So, and I suppose that's something we'll work out when we get closer to it. But roundabouts are going to be fully operational during the works until such time as they're ready to switch over.
Thank you. Just the second part of my question is in around the rerouting of the southbound traffic from North Street into Watery Lane. So we already have a particularly congested Watery Lane, particularly at peak times. As you know, there's parking on one section of Watery Lane just as you approach the junction with the river bridge, actually Ward River, is it? And that is quite a bottleneck at peak times, both at school peak times, mornings, afternoons, and evenings. And I'm wondering, have you given any consideration to temporarily or otherwise restricting that parking? There's only 5 cars, 6 cars parking space, but certainly it will ease the flow of the traffic on Watery Lane and reduce the congestion if you're going to increase the traffic through Watery Lane.
We haven't, Anthony, but I think that's something I'll take away and
Yeah.
discuss with colleagues in operations.
And if I might ask a second point, as well, there's certainly, as you know, there's a school at the top of Watery Lane and Jugback Lane. We've an ongoing issue with speed on Watery Lane, and I'm just wondering if an increased volume of traffic through it will magnify that problem, and just maybe to give that some consideration as well.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take that on board. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Anyone else would like to come in with a question or comment?
Yeah, could I ask a question, Linda, please? Anthony Cooney here,
Yeah.
Fingal Chamber. There's a Swords Business Park, which is the business campus, which is just off the roundabout there at Woody's as such. And
Yes.
the road leads. There's two ways you can get into it. One is off the Estuary Road, and the other is coming from the R132, either going down that road for Swords Campus or coming out of it. You can come out of Swords Campus, turn left, and get up onto the R132. And given that all of the works are going to be in the hard shoulder, does that
Yes.
mean, is that road going to be closed off?
No, it won't. I suppose access will be maintained, Anthony, for all, I suppose, local users through it. So no, that's the left in, left out, Anthony, isn't it? Am I thinking the right spot?
Yes, yes.
No, that'll be maintained.
Just short of the bridge there.
Yeah.
So that's going to remain open at that point there.
Yes.
I know there's another access as you come down onto, you can go back down onto the estuary and around. It's just a point. We have a couple of members there.
I'll come back to you on that point, Anthony. I'm trying to bring up the maps here at the moment. What I'll do is I'll send on the layout for that particular area. And
we have a couple of members there, and I don't see them on the call this morning.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd ask the question on the geography of it. Thanks, Linda.
We've another question there, 2 parts about the post works, and that the plan seems to be to go from 2 car lanes to 1. Logically, this will make the traffic lines longer. Part 2 is coupled with traffic lights. There's a real potential for a lot of traffic to build up, I suppose. The junctions look similar to Airside Junction, which is evidence of this. Would like to hear your opinions on this design.
In terms of design and I suppose how the R132 will operate after the works are constructed, at the moment we have the 3 roundabouts. Pinnock Hill is not included as part of these works, but it is included as part of the NTA Core Bus Corridor for Bus Connect. So Pinnock Hill, I don't have a programme on that from the NTA at the moment, but that will be upgraded. So eventually all 4 junctions will be upgraded to signalised junctions, and they'll also be connected to the Balheary Road junction. So in terms of how traffic moves and is managed, the council will have better control in terms of better able to manage those movements, because all of these junctions will be connected and will be signalised. There'll also be cameras installed for future intelligent transport systems and things like that. There will be bus lanes along the full length of the R132, and it's, I suppose, an NTA funded scheme, and really the NTA are very keen to see that public transport here is prioritised. So a number of years ago, there was a study done, the South Fingal Transport Study, and it looked at really how Swords is operating from a transport point of view and how it will operate going into the future, and how can we ensure that Swords is ready for Metro, and looked at the quantum of development that would be possible. So and one of the things that it identified is that there's a huge number of people in Swords travelling in the morning by car, like very small distances, 4 kilometres and under. So by I suppose, delivering infrastructure like the R132, where you're making it easier for people to walk and cycle. What we're looking for really is mode shift, as in for people who can. Now, not everybody can, and obviously, depending on your trip and where you need to go, you may need to drive, or you may not physically be able to walk or cycle. But for those that can, 432 is going to help support them and facilitate that, whilst and take cars off the road as such. And together with that upgrade of the traffic signal system, allow the council to manage that traffic better than it does at the moment.
A couple more questions have come in. Could you confirm the commencement date for North Street's closure and the bus stops moves, please?
I can't give that date at the moment. I understand it's towards the middle end of April, but I can come back with that date when I have it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And another comment is to resolve the parking issue at Balheary for Fingalians and Swords Celtic matches. Can consideration be given for a temporary car park in the green area between the skate park and Swords Business Campus?
I think that's something we'll take away and consider. But that's the area that's currently earmarked for the compound, the construction compound for the works. But we will take it away.
Okay, find some sort of solution for those cars at the weekends. Last chance now for anyone who would like to come in and ask a question directly. Otherwise, if you would like to, if anything comes to mind later, if you'd like to send your questions through to events@fingalchamber.ie, we'll be happy to pass them on to the County Council team, and they'll be able to follow up with you about perhaps more localized issues affecting your business grouping. And I don't see any more coming in. So I'll thank everyone for their time for joining this morning. We'll follow up with the recording of this session and also with the slides for those to refer to them. And we'll be in touch with you, given that you've shown interest, with project updates over the coming months as well. So thanks to Anthony, to Matthew, and to Linda for your time this morning. And we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.